Hi there, you're on Gossip Says channel. Enjoy watching, subscribe and like it. It's growing our community.
Story 1. Getting off my chest, I was betrayed by my ex and my family, and I still can't completely get over it over a year later. When I first met my ex, I didn't know that she was a drug addict at the time. When I found out, I was going to leave, but she pleaded that I didn't, and I decided to stay, and I helped her through it. She went through rehab, and I faithfully waited for her. When she got out, she wouldn't have had anywhere to go, so I let her move in with me. Also because I just wanted to be with her. During this time, I helped her out any ways that I was able, and I took care of probably 80% of our finances besides her car and her cigarettes. We had a whole year together that I thought was good. It wasn't perfect, but it was good for me. It could have been better too, but she never wanted to talk to me whenever we had an issue. She would always talk to her friends about it, and sometimes she told me the advice they gave. So I think her stories to her friends were one-sided because her friends always had bad advice against me, even if our little fight was her doing. Like she didn't like me talking to a girl at work, but she would have had guys coming to her left and right at work, and she'd see no wrong. Anyways, I did everything I could for her. I took her on dates whenever I knew she wanted them, paid for most of her needs, supported her emotionally, defended her name when someone talked about her, fought for her, got her clean, got her making progress in being able to get her daughter back, got her family talking to her again, and more. One night she wanted to go to the bar, and I didn't feel like it, so I just suggested she go with her friend. She told me she'd answer all my calls and texts without asking, and I said okay. Well, maybe 2 hours of being out, she stopped answering my calls and texts, so I called her friend from my roommate's phone because her friend had a crush on him, and that's when I saw they weren't at the bar but someone's house, and I heard a bunch of guys in the background. When I asked about my gift at the time, the friend just hung up, and that was when the problems first began. I ended up forgiving her for that incident, and maybe a month later my roommate starts talking to someone new and invites her over for a home party. During that time, this new chick gave my ex drugs, and then they went out, and my ex ignored all attempts to contact her. She did it multiple times before we finally broke up. I heard about my ex and her new friend getting into a lot of trouble and knew she was no good. My ex would always have an excuse each time I tried to hang out and fix things, but she'd still continue to string me along with, "I want to start over. Maybe things can work out if we just be friends again." Well, one day at work, I got my ex's phone out of her locker while I was on break, and I was able to guess her password. I saw all the messages of her messaging other guys and how they'd be intimate. So I confronted her, and we got into an argument and stopped talking. She then started making Facebook posts to make me look like the bad guy or just someone who ain't nothing. So I started getting with other women, then my ex wants to try and come back to me when I do. In reality, her only goal was to sabotage my chances of moving on, then continue to sleep around. Which I feel for a few different times because I wanted her, and what we used to have before I realized how it was going to be. During this time, my roommate meets a new girl and starts talking to her. Only a good month, my roommate, who is also family, starts trying to kick me out to make room for her. This new chick he was talking to would betray him quickly. One night we were partying, and she kept giving me this same look like she wanted to do the deed. Then another family member who was there that day said he could have done it too if he wanted. It wasn't just him either who turned on me for her. It was the rest of my family that comes from his side too. After that, dealing with that, I'm unwise enough to still give my ex another chance, and we try to work on a relationship. One day she cancels plans on me, and I pull up to her place to see what's going on, and that's when her friend comes out hurling racial slurs at me. She pissed me off real bad, so I threw her past trauma in her face, which led to a big fight between me and her friend, and she ends up taking her friend's side. Her friend pulled a gun out on me with more racial slurs and punched me in the face multiple times while I just tried to talk with my ex. After all that, we finally finalized our breakup and stopped talking. Since then, I've just felt so stupid that I even gave it as many chances as I did. Also, I viewed every new person I meet differently. I automatically look for the mad in people instead of the good. I also thought about unaliving myself with a gun. I keep it just in case, which I'm doing a lot better compared to when it was recent, but I still have bad views and I look back on those moments with regret and anger. Story 2. Childhood sweethearts turned sour. I, 32 am, am going through what seems to be the end of a relationship, and find myself in the all too common situation where I have nobody to express my feelings to, and anybody that could be there for me, immediate family, would be better off without my baggage affecting their lives too. Me and my partner, 32F, got together in school. We were very intense in the early years, probably too intense for our age, but we ended up falling madly in love with each other. We went on for many happy years believing we were soulmates. All of our decisions were for the betterment of our lives, and we were both satisfied and content. The love was strong, and we could both feel it. We were best friends. As we invested so much time into each other, it was at the sacrifice of potentially spending time with friends. Then those friends also got into serious relationships, until we really didn't have any friends outside of siblings and close family. We never felt lonely though. We enjoyed all of our time together. That lasted for 15 years. However, at the start of this year, my partner was offered a job which furthered her career. This job had an unfortunate and unplanned domino effect on our lives. In previous years, there was always a good work/life balance, and there was an understanding that our relationship was more important than a job which acts like it cares about you, but really thinks of you as just another number on the payroll. She began investing all of her time into her career. I thought that it was her just working extra hard to make the position hers and show how valuable she was. She is a very determined woman and a very hard worker, so of course I supported it. Then the days turned into weeks, weeks into months, and I realized that our relationship was beginning to suffer. At the same time as all of this, she also went on a self-improvement journey. Botox, lip filler, skin care routines, pubic maintenance, which she had previously only cared about when things were getting out of control. But I supported it. I wanted her to feel as good as she possibly could. To me, she was perfect anyway, but I wasn't going to get in her way. She also began a spiritual journey which included manifestation and the likes. Without me realizing it, she had outgrown me. I was still the same old me, and I wasn't satisfying her like I used to. This also translated into the bedroom, where she would want to have sex all night. Even after multiple orgasms, she still would want more. Little Jimmy tried his best, but he isn't a pornster's dick, and there was a limit to how much I could go on. I aired my concerns about how we weren't connecting like we used to, how conversations with me began to feel like effort, yet in the same stride would laugh and joke with her newfound friends from work. How if I asked for a moment of her time, it was met with huffs and puffs. To my surprise, she wasn't considerate towards my feelings, the type of response which was quite alien to our relationship, and instead began putting obstacles in the way of resolving our issues. As a result, those issues turned into bigger issues, and then into bigger issues. Looking back, I can see the cold response was just a result of how her feelings had already changed. It's now to the point where I can feel the love is really only coming from one side. This past month has been turbulent, lots of arguments and the like, but only tears from one party. Me. She says she is emotionless, but I know it's not the case. I saw the woman cry a few months ago because she removed the spider from the house without killing it. I guess there is a lot of in denial from my part, just finding it hard to face the facts. So now I sit here with literally zero friends, not a sympathy card, just my brutally honest reality. And even if somebody tried to be my friend, I'm too used to reacting selfishly and feeling like I don't have the capacity or time for new people. I guess that's about to change, hopefully at least time. Sorry for the probably incoherent rant. I'm just sitting here feeling sorry for myself and crying to breakup songs and needed to release some of my thoughts. Cheers. Story 3. Me, 24. With my Bef, 25M. 3 years. Is it wrong that my feelings are hurt that our mutual friends, siblings, don't try to hang out with me anymore? I, 24F, have been in a LDR with Bef, 25 meters, for going on 2 years. The first year was less distance, so my boyfriend came to visit a lot more often on the weekends. He moved further away for his job, so he doesn't get to visit as much and tries to come on some holidays. I've hung around with the family and mutual friends quite often to where if you asked me a year or so ago, I would have considered them my friends too and enjoy their company. Most of the pull I've invited to get-togethers and things have been his friends and family, but mutually mine as well. I do have some friends, just not as many and not as many in the area. Things have changed and not as many people live near me in general. But I feel kinda hurt and feel like they aren't my friends anymore, and why do I even care or try? Even one of his, I dick if I should say our, friends stopped by to pick something up and asked about my boyfriend and how he was doing, but didn't ask about me. It makes me feel like a +1 for life and just distant. I didn't think it was like that, but it feels like it, because even now, I just don't hang out with any of them, and I get that we don't live super close. One of his brothers, which I enjoy, has tried a little along with his gift, but it felt like it was only because they were in town, and it didn't end up panning out basically. It seemed like an afterthought. Beth's brother, 27 meters, is also in a half and half LDR, but he travels for work, and I get along with him and his GIF, 26F, pretty well. When I saw them one of the last times, brother's GIF said we should hang out sometime since her Beth has been gone too. But I feel like since he gets to be home more often, it feels like the interest isn't there as much. I could be reading into it because I know older are hard and complicated. I also just felt kinda hurt because I like her. But I'm like, does she only want to hang out with me if her man is out of town as well? And I just feel kinda hurt this past year I've gotten to see my buff much more minimally than in the past, so it's been tough and an adjustment and very lonely at times. Am I the asshole for feeling a little slighted that it seems like people aren't concerned or don't seem to care about my position or put in more effort? It feels like they don't actually care about me, and now I don't even really feel like most of them consider me a friend outside of my Beth. A couple of them do try with me and don't make me feel that way, but the majority in siblings, it kinda feels like that. I do also distance myself at times or don't reach out as much myself anymore because of mental health issues and feeling this way. There was an event going on this weekend that is an hour away, and me, my sister, and friend were already going to be in town, so we figured why not check it out. My mom, aunt, cousin, and mom's buff and mom's friend came too. There was a ton of people and really no service, and my phone was dying. The night kinda got ruined for a few different reasons, but I did have a little fun at some parts and the day was a good day. I was just a little sleepy. Cut to the end of the night, we leave. The alcohol caught up by that point. Today, I saw quite a bit of people. I knew we're there, not sure on timing, but I think we were probably there at the same time for a little while, including mutual friends and brother I pre-mentioned and his Gef. He saw my story of me being there and sent me videos of him there, so it's no secret, but they didn't say anything and didn't try to link up or anything. It probably would have been too hard to find people at that point. Even our own group got split up and lost a few times. I think it's the lack of intention, and now I'm feeling even more separate and like I'm not a part of the group or friends, but his bro has his own friend too that I've also met and like, and they're friends with my Bef too. I think I just needed to get it off my chest and ask, am I being overdramatic? Should I stop caring at all and just do my own thing and keep my distance but be cordial? Story 4. I 26M feel like I'm grieving my relationship with my Bef 27M after he suddenly changed his mind. So basically, I 26M have been in a committed relationship with my Bef 27M for 4.5 years now. And we're in the process of settling down and discussing marriage. We're going over deciding things about it, so the topic comes very often whenever we talk. On Friday, we were on the couch watching TV shows and commenting, and the topic of marriage came up again. He said something along the lines of, I hope I land an even better job so you can quit yours, and laughed. For context, he earns more than me. I assumed he was joking, because we both knew I never agreed to quit work, especially after he laughed too. So I snorted at what he said. He looked offended and said, what? And I joked that I might as well become a housewife. He looked dead serious and said, yeah, something like that. I got uneasy and didn't know if he was joking or not. He noticed it and went on a serious rant about how families where one works and the other stays home just function better, and that he was the man of the relationship, because he earns more, so I should be the one to stay home. He even mentioned I would do the childcare, knowing that we were both set on being child-free. This felt off because we had talked all of that over and over again. We were set on everything he had mentioned, and we never agreed on having children or being a one-income household. It was also the first time ever he brought up these type of plans and patriarchal concepts of man of the house and ideal household. I'll admit I could have handled the situation better. But I said, "We should get you a medal. Being misogynistic and homophobic at once is wild." And he got all pouty and said, "It's just how I think it should be." Safe to say, I didn't take him seriously because we had already discussed pretty much everything he suddenly changed his mind on, and joked that by his own standards, he should be the woman because I'm taller and got a beard. I made sure to use air quotes and clarify that I was joking, but he went off on me about how I didn't respect him and didn't want to marry him. I tried to say as calmly as I could that we had previously talked all that he was saying over, and I did never agree on having kids or quitting work. He got pissed again, stormed up to our room for 1 hour, and then packed a bag and went to stay with his family. His mom also called to yell at me, and didn't even let me get a word in before hanging up the phone. I got some insight, and I'm having trouble to accept the relationship is over. If I'm being unbiased and honest about how I feel, I want more than anything to understand what happened for him to suddenly change his mind. Because a week ago, we had just confirmed we were set on child-free and both working. But suddenly he wasn't on board. It made me confused. I also recognized that he did disrespect and disregard me. And that is a whole fucking deal breaker. But it's not that easy to end a 4-year relationship on the bat of an eye. And I still want to make everything as amicable as possible on this breakup. I love him, but if we want different things from life, and he doesn't respect or trust me as much as I thought he did, this likely wouldn't work on the long term, and we have to go our separate ways. How do I navigate this breakup in a healthy and understanding way? Currently, he's asking for space. I texted him yesterday to know if he wants to talk, and he's leaving me on read.